Hello everyone, welcome to a new banner review. This time we'll be covering the FE6 banner and the butchering that was that banner. So, let's get started. So, as usual, I'm going to repeat because there's a few newcomers on my channel now because of the RID video. I tend to go from worst to best unit and explain my thought about them and what they can do or can't do, and yeah. First off is Tia, the obvious demote of the banner, which actually has absolutely nothing of value to really fodder outside of her weapon. Vanguard is not a bad thing. I mean, I've already pointed out what is good about Safeguard, but the point of this weapon is it's good for support unit more so than actual units. Like, for example, if you're going for an Arden, you wouldn't give him Safeguard, you would give him Slaying Edge, so you can actually proc more consistently and have a better chance at killing. Safeguard will help you take less damage sometimes, but more often than not, it's not worth considering. This is the same logic here. And it's even worse because Red has Barrier Blade and Safeguard, so you can switch between the two depending on the occasion. Here you also have the two, but that's kind of the downfall here, because while Red has some unit that have so little res that they can actually gain from having Safeguard, in Blue it's a very big struggle. To put it simply, the amount of unit that can use Berkut Slants are about a 10-to-1 to the units that can use Vanguard in terms of utility, because typically, if you're going to be using Vanguard, you would be wanting a low def high res unit and or a support unit. If you're talking about unit that comes to my mind for a unit that can actually really use this weapon, I would say base Azura and basically no one else. Like Lucas, Shiro, all of those people either have a good pref that kind of just squanders this weapon, Florina for example, Tana for example, or they just have so much more def that having more def on top of it is just overkill. Like Lucas, like Shiro, and Shiro also has a better pref than this anyway, because it's 30 stance. And so on. So the weapon is not bad, it's just that there's not many people that can really use it. Hell, even Tia doesn't want it. If you'd want to make a build that focuses on bulk, you'd go for a Def Plus with Berkut Slants. Or you'd go for Speed Plus, Speed Plus or Attack Plus, then refine the weapon to defense so you have 35-35. There is literally no value in using Vanguard on her. It kind of blows, doesn't it? So, yeah, it's a bit of a shaky weapon, and she's going to be demoted. The problem is she has nothing of value to demote for. Like Steady Posture, we already have Rayson. Now, if you want to do a +10 merge of her of Rayson like I am, this is kind of neat, but I'd rather have something like Sturdy Stance in the pool, for example. Sturdy Stance would have been fantastic. Steady Posture, we already have this, so not much that we get here. And Seal Speed Death, no one in their right mind would care about Seal skills in 2019. They were niche in 2017, let alone now. Like, what? Even if it debuffs 2 stats, it's not good enough. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Especially when you can just be like, oh, I'm going to be running ploys and debuff both stats for multiple units rather than just one. You get the idea. It's really, it's pathetic. So let's talk about comparison. I've already mentioned one of those characters, the other one being Katria. It's really ironic. They seem to have went for the same stat line as Katria because, well, both of them are kind of the middle white wing of their games. So I guess that's probably why. The thing is, the difference that set them apart from one another is, while yes, Tia has a bit more BST, so she has a bit more stats, some of which are a bit where it matters, like speed by 1 point. Katria has a weapon that gives her +3 to all stat if she has 2 flyers around her, 16 might, which Tia doesn't have, Cooldown -1, which she can have, but not with 16 might, and allow her to have a brave effect. Why would you use Tia over Katria is beyond me. She does everything Tia would want to do, but better. And the second you have the +3 to all stats, Katria has tight defense, more def, more speed, more attack, and more HP. We're talking about a launch unit breaking a... I don't know how to call this Gen 2.5, this neck. So, yeah, it's really pathetic. And then you have Tana over here that's like, oh, well, you have a good stat line to run Berkut slants. Well, the thing is, Tana does everything better on that regard as well. Get Def Plus, refine their weapon to res or something like that, and you have 36 Def res against melee foes. Now you can make the case that Tia is good for more than just melee foes, but it's honestly too shaky at this point. Because, yeah, Tana has more attack, more speed, more def, more res, and about the same HP. If you're dealing with melee foes. And range foes, you'd need DC. If you'd have DC, your res is not good enough unless you plus then her. It's kind of pointless, really. Though she's gonna be demoted and Tana won't, so there's that. If she doesn't get demoted, man, yes, you are stupid. Though honestly, I would be happier if she didn't demote, as dumb as this sounds, because honestly, she's just going to be clogging up the blue pool, and possibly, you know, being a 5-star to just screw your day over. But you know. Anyway, next up is Lou. I'm just going to call him Lou. I know it might be pronounced differently, but fuck that shit. So, here comes a green mage with no defense, but for some reason has Ground Serpent and Mirror Stance. In what world are you going to try to tank with this dude? Mages, maybe? Even then, that's a bit too shaky. Honestly, the main thing that really makes him stand out is Rally Up Res Plus and Attack Feint 3. Attack Feint 3 was already there, but it was locked to a unit that was not in the pool. That being, I think, it's either Soren, like Grail's Devoted Soren, or Grail's Devoted Mist. I'm not sure which one it is, but it's the best feint. It's a really good feint for Seth, and honestly, I really wish you could, you know, inherit 5 skills, because Rally Up Res Plus, Attack Feint 1, Attack Feint 2, Attack Feint 3. He would become a really, really good fodder as a result. It's a really good combo to run on good old Seth if you don't have Rally Up Attack Plus, or I think it was Rally Attack Up Plus before, but whatever. I guess they kind of just spin it around. Because that way you can debuff the enemy and buff everyone by 6. So that's good. Like every stats. So, yeah. It's pretty good for Seth. Outside of Seth, it's kind of shaky. But honestly, Attack Feint is the main thing you really want here. Attack Feint is one of the best B skill out there, just because it's a shield that you have that you can actually angle to whatever character you want to debuff. You just have to move the unit to be in range. Rally, bam, done. It's a lot better than what shields are, which requires you to be, well, hoping for the best and hoping that the highest def or highest attack unit is in the front and not in the back, because if it's in the back, it's literally useless until you get to said unit. So that's kind of a problem with shield skills. It's not a problem with feint skills, however. So yeah. Now, other than this, his stat line does not accommodate this. Honestly, when I saw his set, I was expecting him to have the Cliff stat line. Okay attack, okay speed, good def, good res for a caster, and that's it. Honestly, that would have been a lot better, because then you would not have any competition. As it is, honestly, I had to restrain myself to only making a comparison with one unit, because every other unit just about beats him in so many scenarios that at this point it's kind of stupid. So I just ended up picking the one that's the easiest one to get, that being his mom. Yeah, Nino is Lou's mom. That's fun. So why do I see Nino's better? Well, Blade Tome without a restriction, because that's typically what you're going to be running on Luke anyway. It's not the fact that it's the only option, it's more so it's the only good options. The problem with this guy is that since he's going to be locked to 5-star exclusive more often than not, at least, unless they pull an Ares and actually do something nice, which I don't expect them to do considering Veloria is not worth the 5-star status, yet is still 5-star exclusive. And yeah, that was fun. I don't expect him to be demoted at all. So the reason why I say this is they basically have the same amount of bulk. Luke beats Nino by like 4 HP but loses 2 def. That's cool and all. He has a bit more bulk to take 1 hit for desperation. That's cool. But you can't really expect him to run anything else unless you plus 10 the dude. And I'm not going to, like, the builds I show off are at plus 10. Of course, but I don't, if it's a build that doesn't work at plus 0, don't bother. That's the way I do things. So yeah, he has a super boon in attack, which is a good thing because it means he can actually score as high as a 160 BST unit after 1 merge. That's massive for a mage. As a matter of fact, I think he'd outscore Cliff. You know, the guy that the only reason why was scoring so good was because he was a Gen 2 trainee unit. Yeah, that didn't last long. Great. Because Gen 2.5 actually affect infantry mages. So that's fun. So he's basically Nino with roughly the same bulk against Dragon DC unit, a bit more against mages. So he's like slightly better stat-wise. But Nino has a pref. Not having a cooldown +1 from Groundblade like Luke is forced to have actually just makes up for about everything. I don't give a shit about the odd attack wave, or even attack wave actually. It doesn't do enough for Nino, but the weapon itself is so good, you shouldn't even compare them. Either way, since, you know, the wave skill is a bit shaky already because it only works all of the time unless you run odd attack wave with even attack wave, which expensive, and frankly you should be running attack tactic on that team anyway. It does the same thing. So if you can do that instead, you can just refine the weapon to speed or defense, and suddenly the stat line difference doesn't become all that big. So, yeah. As for builds, I made 2. It's quite simple. One of them is a typical Blade Tome set. I went for Attack Plus because it scores better in Arena. You don't even need more speed at this point. Even at +0, you hit 46 speed with buffs. That's more than enough. 45 is about the number you want to hit if you're a speedster. If you go for more than this, it often will be just lost points that you won't want. So that's why I went for Attack Plus. Obviously the def doesn't look too bad here, but it's also because he's at +10 with Fury 4. Now the second set is a bit less obvious. It's an AoE set. It's basically Ophelia. Not much else to say here. You will struggle to get into the range for the first time, but as long as you have Def Tactic, even at +0, that's 27 def, 39 HP, that's 66 bulk, you should be able to take a hit. And you should be able to double whatever it is. As long as you double it and then kill it, then you have AoE, you have, you know, Special Spiral ready. Or Blazing Wind rather, and then Special Spiral can, you know, in tandem with Flashing Blade, just keep proccing AoEs. It's pretty basic, but the fact that he has so much attack just makes it really obvious. As for Spectral Tome, it's honestly the best tome I could think of for him. He will spread panic on the enemy on top of killing whatever's in front of him, so it's pretty good. Other than this, there's really nothing much I could really say that would be really useful for him. Maybe the Egg Tome, but he takes so much damage from Fury, it doesn't matter anyway. I was thinking of doing Life and Death, but the problem with Life and Death is that your bulk becomes too shit. As for Fury 3, it's good enough. You don't need Fury 4. This is just the absolute peak of what you can do. Resploy is just so your AoE makes sure that you kill, because 5 less res is 7 to 8 more damage on the AoE alone, and 5 more on the attack. Depending on Combat Triangle, of course. So, yeah. Moving on to Sue. Coming in with short bow, wow. Wow. That sounds about as outdated as when we got fucking King Gron Wolf after basically Reinhardt was not that relevant anymore. This bow is irrelevant on release. The reason I say it's irrelevant is because, well, it's 10 more damage when you spec. Sure, what about it? You had Slaying Bow for like over a year at this point. Over a year. Why would you use that over this? If we still were stuck with Killing Bow, this bow would actually not be too bad. This is also why Woodau was considered decent for a while, until Slaying Edge became easily available. However, this here is just, it's gonna be a Woodau bow that's pretty expensive to get, doesn't give much to the user, and it's even worse on Sue because she's a cavalry unit, so she has no access to special spiral and all of those skills that can actually really make use of it. It is shaky beyond belief. Swift Sparrow number 17, I think, or 18, I lost count at this point. Chill Def is good. Again, it's the same problem as I mentioned with Chills before. It's cool and all, it's a good debuff if you're hitting the right unit for it. Otherwise, it can be a dead skill, so that's always shaky. As for Own Speed 4, that's alright, though Own Attack 4 is definitely the better choice. Speed will not always be useful for you. Attack will always. And typically Speed Tactic is more consistently helpful than Own Speed 4 because you need speed on more than one unit, typically. And Own Speed 4 is adjacent. So, yeah. That's not good. Still, you can use that to combo into Legendary Azura if you don't have a Tier 4 skill yet, so yeah. It's kind of just shaky overall. Still, the set is very shaky overall, but it's workable. Honestly, this set just makes me think of Legendary Lyn. I think it's the same A skill, the same special skill, and then a non-pref. Except she's green. Speaking of comparisons, yeah, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. I think she's actually inferior to Brave Lyn. So if you have an attack plus Brave Lyn, right now, Sue has no room to be relevant to you. Unless you pull for in some pentagrammic level of luck, you get an attack plus Sue. The chance that this Sue here is better than Brave Lyn, very minute. And I know what people will say, she has more speed. Yes, she do. As a matter of fact, I want to point out Gen 2.5 is actually effective to ranged calves. Yes! Ranged calves are now not stuck to Gen 1 BST anymore. They get an extra 5 BST, just like Brave Lyn did with Choose Your Legend buffs. Because in case someone doesn't know here, Choose Your Legend units got an extra 5 BST. There are 4 units with this buff. Only 4. Not 2, as you'd expect, because only 2 of the first Choose Your Legend banner got a stat increase. Obviously, there's Ike and Lynn that got +5. That's why Lynn has the most BST of any range cav outside of Sue, who ties her. As a matter of fact, I believe Sue can actually beat Lynn because of an HP boon, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter the second you merge. You have Ike. And then the other two are a bit less obvious, but Sigurd. Yes, Sigurd got Choose Your Legend treatment. That's why he has more BST than every other melee cav of this game. Melee cav in Gen 2 have 157 BST, Sigurd has 159. And the last one is Ira. This is also why Sigurd has a unique B skill and Ira has this unique special. This is because they were considered Choose Your Legend unit. Why? Because Ira was the most popular female character of Jude Grohl, and Sigurd is the most popular male character of Jude Grohl. So, yeah. I was actually pretty happy with what they did with Ira, but at the end of the day, what I mean is it's 5 more BST for them. So, no more situation like Summer Lind, where if only she had that boost of like 5 BST into defense or something, she would be actually really good. But, thankfully that's done. Other than this, I would say Lynn being colorless really helps her. Sake's Blessing also really helps her. More importantly, she also has a pref, so you can score better with her. And on top of it, you have more options because of said pref. You can be a Blade Tome counter to some extent. In this day and age, that's actually relevant. Back then it wasn't, but now it is because of Aether raids. And Sake's Blessing is always helpful. Still, overall, she is still shaky nowadays, but I mean, at the end of the day, you still have more you can do with it. Honestly, the best way I can describe the Sue versus Brave Lynn would be like comparing Summer Cordelia to Flying Cordelia, like base Cordelia. Because 35-35 is better than 32-38, offensive-wise. It's the same kind of logic, though it's way less pronounced, obviously, with Brave Lynn. As for builds, that she really only has one because she's a cavalry unit. Cavalry units doesn't get shit. And as the typical Brave Bow set with Deathblow 4 instead, because her speed is good enough. Even unmerged, you have 41 speed, maybe speed plus then can be actually relevant. Other than this, you should be fine, honestly. You don't need that much speed. Typically, you're gonna kill with the 2 first arrow unless it's armored, so, you know. And if it's armored, you typically quad them, so Desperation will do its job. Be careful of Steady Breath users, because Steady Breath Zelgus will just insta-kill you with a Black Luna, though you're green, so you probably won't. But, yeah, not much else to say here. Now for the actual best unit of the banner, who is still very, very sad. We have Idrun, the character I was actually waiting for, unlike the other 3, and hoping that she would be good. Spoiler alert! She's shaky. And worse than the other contender. Just like this entire banner, wow! I think Sue is the closest of being like almost relevant. If she was colorless, maybe, just maybe she would be really comparable to Brave Lynn. Maybe even better. But being green really hurts her. That said, here's Hidden, Fortress Defres. I don't think you have to know how good that is. You've seen my legendary Tiki in action plenty of times. Now, here's the problem I have with this unit. They went for high def, high res with a weapon that gives 4 to all stats. Her speed is not bad, and you can make it work if you have a speed +1, attack speed bond, and all that stuff. The problem is you can't really be aggressive with it. So the speed part, kind of pointless, so you have 3 stats that you really gain from. The problem, again, is that you can end up having so much bulk that you might actually struggle getting under 100% HP, and getting Floyd with 40 res, not happening. Getting Panic, possible, but I need to test how Panic works with her. I honestly think it just will neutralize your own buffs because they're going to be reversed. You won't get them back, is what I mean. But I'm not sure. I actually don't have her, so I can't really. Well, I have her now, but I only got her yesterday, and I don't want to do her maps to actually test that out. So that's a bit annoying. Still, the point is she's a bit shaky already with that effect, and as long as she's not like harmed, she basically just has a glorified armor killer. That's it. The armor killer clause is really good. Armor killer is one of the best claws, but see, here's what I would have done if I was IS. This is a trainee unit, so she gets an extra 6 BST. Do you want to know the difference in BST if she was armored versus infantry? Give up? She would have 174 to 175 BST instead of 179 to 180. 5 BST. She gains 5 BST for being armored. That's it. 5. And she gains a weakness. And more importantly, then she has to be compared to the absolute best armor unit. Well, not armored unit, but like the absolute best armored dragon unit of this game, Myr. Being red does not do her any favor. Actually, it hurts her. It hurts her a lot. Because the problem that she runs into is being compared to Halloween Myr, who has one of the best, absolute best weapon that we've had on any legendary out there. Not legendary, on any armored unit out there. Being a basically bolt fighter without the cooldown charge in the weapon as long as you have 5 more dev than the enemy. Now, that sounds good enough on paper. Then you had Quick Repose Seal and Special Fighter. You shut down Special, you charge up a lot quicker than if you use Bold Fighter, you charge up quicker on enemy phase as well, you are an absolute monster in stats, you are basically the same stat line as Idun with more attack, I think about the same def, and 2 less points of res. Like, I don't know what they were thinking. It's like they knew that being armored would compare her to Halloween Myr, but didn't give a shit because then they gave her the exact same stat line as Halloween Myr, but slightly worse. Why in God's fucking name did they do this is beyond me. Again though, if she was infantry, she would have 174 to 175 BST, scoring as much as an armored unit with 2 movement. She would be a lot more fun to play around, and well, her weapon would be more consistently working. Having less BST, maybe a bit less res, a bit less HP. So it's easier to get panicked, it's easier to get ployed, possibly. A lot more options to work with than if you're armored. If you're armored with the exact same stat line as the only other unit, then it comes down to weapons, or at least unique skills. And sorry, but Myr crushes Idun in that department. Well, other than that, our weapon is pretty solid. It's just having a bit less stats would make it easier to also get kicked out of full HP. 45 def, 40 res is a bit difficult at times, to say it's bluntly. And especially if you combo this with something like close def, it's almost like you don't want to actually have something like close def or distant def. You want to go out of your way to run a bond skill, have no one around there for the first fight, and then possibly be able to actually use your weapon effectively. Honestly, here's what the stat line I would have wanted on her be, if she's an armored unit. I would have taken 5 def 5 res and took that into speed. That's it. Easier to get ployed, easier to get, well, ployed. And your speed is actually workable, a lot more workable, and you're actually different enough from Myr that you can differentiate yourself from her. Either that or you make her infantry, take 5 def, 5 res, make that into speed, and then remove 1 in every stats. There you go. There you go. As an infantry unit, that'd be insane. You'd have so much room for improvement, and you'd be so much more useful without having, like, the target on your back about armor killers and dragon killers. It would also make more sense because, let's be honest, she's wearing robes. And hell, even in the forging bond, she's so quick, Lou has trouble to catch up. Why the fuck is she armored? It makes no sense. But Jay, armor sells more! Dude, I'm a dolphin. I spend on this game. I would have genuinely plus 10 Idun if she was an infantry unit. Regardless of the stats, by the way. You know why? You know why? Because infantry units have so much more things you can do with them. Armored units are stuck between 3 B skill. If you stray away from those 3 B skills, you're doing it wrong, or you're running quick riposte. That being Vengeful Fighter, Bolt Fighter, or Special Fighter, and sometimes Wary Fighter like Surtur. So I guess 4. That kills a lot of, you know, flexibility on your build. Like Halloween Myr, for example. As much as she's a great unit, she has basically one set. Fortress Def Res, Special Fighter, Quick Riposte Seal, Ignis, and her breath. That's it. The C skill is the only flexible part, and obviously positional skill, but if you're in PvP, you'll want a double rally plus. Great. Great. Just great. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. I don't understand why they were doing this. But yeah, as for the comparison, yeah, Myr has 1 more def, 2 less res, 3 less speed, 3 more attack, and 1 more health. Yeah, that's it. See what I mean? You have 2 armored dragons in red. 2! And you basically decide, let's make them the same thing. It's funny though, because they stopped power creeping because of Nintendo telling them not to, because it was so fucking aggressive in the marketing campaign of this game, basically. And yeah, I understand, but it feels like they just stopped everything with Roy. Like, Roy is just the worst legendary Marth in every case of the word. Sadly, watch my video if you don't understand why. And in this case, Idun is just the worst Halloween Myr in every fucking term of the case. Whatever I just said. You get what I mean. It's just very, very shaky. But if you want to build her, well, here you go. It's not great. It's not great. It's not great. So, Bolt Fighter with Darting Stance to actually use the weapon, of course. Once you get hit with Darting Stance, you have 46 speed on enemy phase. Bolt Fighter with that much speed will break through characters such as Surtur, so you'll be able to just break through Wary Fighter and kill him anyway. Not much to it, really. Bonfire, so you hit, get hit, and proc. It's basic. As for the second set, this one is a bit shaky. You have 46 speed if you get hurt, or you're ployed, and that's great. That's great. However, while it is good to some extent, and you have a lot of bulk, and I did not put Death Tactic here because I was just considering basically like the most accessible thing, which would be a Ceph with Speed Tactic Refine, Rest Tactics Seal, and Attack Tactic C skill. If you have one that can buff every stat, well, that's even better. The problem with this is 58 def, 50 res. A bit difficult to get kicked down in HP, huh? Also, this is plus 10, so be afraid. This set does not really work if you don't merger or you don't have speed plus. So if you don't have speed plus and you can't merge her, that's 7 speed down the drain. You go up to 39 speed once you take damage. That can be a bit shaky, but if you use her with a legendary unit on the right season that gives speed, you can make it work. It's just not great. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. Special Fighter is just to make so Ignis procs more consistently. And yeah, I guess she's kind of easy to build in the sense that you really only need Special Fighter. Armored March can just be a buff coming from another unit. And that's kind of it. Not much else to say here. So, yeah. I hope you enjoyed here. I'm sorry if I've been a bit negative here. I'm trying to keep it to a minimum because, my god, if you're a fan of FE6, you have been shafted so fucking hard, it's ridiculous. There are so many units that should have been on this banner, and that aren't. Like, Sue is a fucking nobody to most people. Lou is not bad if you consider the support, but his introduction is so fucking bland and boring that you don't tend to actually see those said support. So, yay. No character that really leaves a lasting impression outside of Rudgear, and trust me, we're going to get to Rudgear in another video, but that video will be less than 10 minutes. I am absolutely certain. It's just, it really feels tasteless, I guess, would be the best way to put this banner in a single term. Making people wait for 2 years for a banner where no unit are really doing anything really incredible. Like, Roy is just a worse Marth, Idun is just a worse Halloween Myrrh, Sue is just a worse Bravelyn. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but why? They're not even being worth considering. I don't understand. Like, there's so many FE6 characters that should have been added. Gonzalez would have been a fantastic GHB if you didn't want Rudgear to be on the banner. Idun could have been a GHB. Hell, I would have plus 10 her regardless of what they did to her. I would have an actual merge project for GHBs. And I would actually be pretty happy because Gem Key's done next week. And after that, my fucking Grails have no purpose in life. Fucking great. Could have been also Melody, Percival. There's so many characters from FE6 that I would want to be in this game. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. But here we are. I just hope that means we'll get another FE6 banner to make up for it. But frankly, if they just consider sales, it's looking grim. I don't think we're going to get another FE6 banner for a year. And with that depressing piece of information, I'm going to leave it here. Have a nice one, everyone. Hope you found this enjoyable and learned a few things. Have a nice one.